Good afternoon, people. Watchwoman 65, Lisa Boyce here. I just got something off of breaking Israeli news. This is pretty serious. It says a 20-year-old prophecy of war between China and America is igniting. World War III begins to take shape. Now, it starts off with a verse of scripture out of Numbers 24:24. It says, "But ships shall come from the coast of Kittim, and they shall afflict Asher, and shall afflict Eber, and he also shall come to destruction." It starts off here. As the pandemic that began in Wuhan ravages the world, tensions between the U.S. and China are flaring up, being manifested even in the military realms to a worrying degree. As Chinese warships engage their American counterparts and U.S. bombers patrol the sky of Asia. A broader, more prophetically centered perspective may not give much solace to those who prefer to spend this time healing rather than fighting. Last Tuesday, the Chinese government claimed its military scrambled ships and aircraft to track, monitor, verify, identify, and expel a U.S. warship from the Prophesied island chain in South China Sea. These provocative acts by the U.S. side have seriously violated China's sovereignty and security interests, deliberately increased regional security risk, and could easily trigger an unexpected incident. Now, I just read where China, and I think this came out this morning, China is also introducing one of its nuclear devices. I got to read more on that. But the presence of U.S. Navy vessel in the region was confirmed by Navy officials to the USNI News, who said that the guided missile destroyer USS Barry conducted a freedom of navigation operation in the vicinity of the island chain off of Vietnam. The officials stated that the operation proceeded as planned without encountering any unsafe or unprofessional behavior from Chinese military, warships, or aircraft. The Paracel Islands, known as the Shisha Islands in China and in Vietnam, are a group of more than 30 islands in the South China Sea located between the coastlines of Vietnam and China. They are controlled by Beijing and also claimed by Hanoi. China claims almost, sorry for that noise, they're landscaping outside, so. China claims almost all of the South China Sea waters were Vietnam, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Indonesia also have claims. The area is highly disputed, carrying over $3 trillion in trade every year and believed to hold immense gas and oil reserves. It was reported on Sunday that the U.S. transferred 4 B-1B Lancer conventional strike bombers and complement of about 200 airmen from a base in Texas to the Anderson Air Force Base. They're too loud. From the Anderson Air Force Base on the island of Guam, less than 3,000 miles from the coast of China and about 2,300 miles from the China Sea hotspot. So, it sounds to me like they're planning something. The B-1 Guam deployment is its first of its kind since 2017, when the bombers were flown to Japan and South Korea amid tensions with North Korea over its nuclear program. I'm just going through bits and pieces of this right now, but this is pretty serious. It says tensions between the U.S. and China have also flared over the pandemic, which began in Wuhan. Several nations have criticized the Chinese government's handling of the outbreak of the epidemic, claiming they misreported the data and mishandling the onset. In addition, President Trump claimed the virus escaped from a microbiology laboratory in Wuhan. The State Department and intelligence services are reportedly investigating this possibility. So, in other words, China's ticked off. So they might be starting something with the U.S. here shortly. Now, this is where this gets interesting. This war was prophesied by a rabbi. It says that Rabbi Winston, a prominent end of days author, gave a disclaimer before explaining the biblical context of the rising American tensions. You don't really know how one thing leads to another while events are unfolding, he said. He told Breaking Israel News. But what is clear is that everyday routines are not going to go back to familiar pre-pandemic conditions, which I've said all along. Your normal, the normal that we knew, is gone. We know that. It is becoming clear with the pandemic is affecting global events in entirely unanticipated ways. It says in the 1920s, a depression led to World War II, which led to the Holocaust. Who could have known that a depression would start a series of events culminating in death camps and millions of people being killed, even after people did not know that such a wave of destruction was about to wash over the entire world. Most people get their information from the internet, so we only hear bits and pieces of the big picture. Now, as events unfold, more and more of what has been going on for some time is being revealed. The average person stood back, horrified at the pandemic raging the world, but now we say from their actions that the Chinese government saw this as an opportunity to shift the power balance. This is interesting. So, it's saying here that in a recent interview, Rabbi Daniel Assor warned that the United States and China will go to war against each other. He explains this war was predicted by the secret saint, Rabbi Yehuda Lefkovich. Rabbi Lefkovich predicted that the Third World War will start between China and America over 20 years ago, before the tensions were at the level they are today. Now, don't forget, and the reason why this is set up right, the way they're saying this, I believe this, is because Trump has put a bunch of tariffs on China right now. So it's no surprise that they strike back first with the virus. And next, it might be with a war. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Don't forget, China also backs, let me see, what other rogue nation that is? Oh yeah, Iran. And also Russia helps them. So it's no surprise. Then, look at the next paragraph. Russia will join China in war. This is what this rabbi predicted 20 years ago. At the same time, he points to another rabbi who predicted 20 years ago that Iran will wage a war against Israel and will receive military assistance from, guess who? North Korea. It's interesting to note that some medieval Christian travelers to China reported the Mongol belief that their nation was descended from Magog. The Mongolian Empire once included sections of Russia, China, and North Korea. This is an interesting read. I'm going to definitely link this in the description box. But it says here that this China-led Gog and Magog alliance may have already started. In December, China, Iran, and Russia held joint naval drills in the Indian Ocean and Sea of Oman, which were meant to deepen cooperation between the three countries' navies in the three countries. Iranian Rear Admiral Hossein Khazandi described the significance of the drill. Anytime they talk about drills and exercises, it's not for drills and exercises. I'm just saying. So like I said, I'm going to leave this article in the description box. I do believe this. Definitely. I believe this because, like I said, Trump has put so many tariffs on China. And China's pissed off because they're getting all this. And it's no surprise that this virus came over here through China. And it's no surprise that other stuff is happening with China. I'm trying to find the article where I saw today. It talked about, let me see. I thought I saw something about China. Oh yeah, that's it right there. China to unveil its nuclear stealth bomber capable of reaching Los Angeles. Now this came out yesterday. And it says that rumors have been circulating since 2010 that China possessed a new long-range stealth bomber. And I'm not going to pronounce the name, but it's H-20. That could soon be joining China's Air Force. Now, according to a new report from the Daily Star, the H-20 could make its first public appearance at this year's air show in November, depending on whether or not the COVID-19 pandemic is contained. It is rumored that the H-20 bomber will be similar in size and layout as the B-21, but there is no confirmed images of the nuclear-capable aircraft. According to the report, the H-20 reportedly has 4 non-afterburning WS-10A turbofan engines sunk into the deep of the wing surface, with an operational range of 7,500 miles. The H-20 could potentially change the balance of military power in the Pacific. Concerns have surfaced whether the debate of this offensive weapon, like the H-20 from China, will send the wrong signals and increase international tensions that already exist. Meanwhile, a new report from NBC is indicating that four U.S. Navy ships have already entered the Barents Sea, located off Russia's northwestern Arctic coast. This would mark the first time U.S. warships have entered this area since the 80s. This report comes from the U.S. Navy 6th Fleet. I'm going to leave this article with you too. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to look up for real. Because I never thought I'd see this when all of this is taking place the way it's taking place now. We are right there. Right there. I'll be back on later. in case I get something else. But I thought these were interesting articles to let you know that the war just might begin with China. Or China starting it. China's already started it when they bought this virus over. So we'll see what happens. I'll be back later. Thank you.